Let's go to Rockhampton now, where Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is speaking in Queensland.
Assistant Minister Anthony Chisholm and Nita Green, their special envoy as well, two great senators for Queensland who spend a lot of their time in regional Queensland. I've driven the length of the Bruce with this bloke, Senator Chisholm, before. So we've seen every single inch of this highway, which is why we know that it needs upgrading. And nothing tells the story of neglect of the former government like the Rockhampton Ring Road. I did the planning work when I was the infrastructure minister in the former Labor government more than a decade ago. But when we came to office in 2022, there hadn't been a hole dug on this project. It was $700 million underfunded. And you can't actually start a project until it's fully funded because you can't have the contracts to get things done. So we found the additional $700 million contributed to our budgets. We came here with former Premier Stephen Miles and began construction on this project, and today there are literally hundreds of people directly and indirectly working on this project to get this done. More than $1.2 billion of commonwealth funding is going into this project here. And yesterday, of course, we announced our $7.2 billion additional funding for the Bruce Highway, bringing the Commonwealth's contribution up to above $17 billion. I'm pleased that the discussions I had with the Queensland Premier mean that he's publicly said that they'll put in their budget in June the additional 20% of funding to bring that funding up to the $9 billion that is estimated to be required to make sure that this highway can be brought up to standard throughout its length, including priority areas, particularly to the north of here and towards Benarabi. This project will save lives, which is why it's an absolute priority. 41 lives lost on the Bruce Highway last year, 2 lost already this year. This will save lives, but in addition to that, it is an economy boosting project. The workers behind us here today will receive jobs and economic activity here in central Queensland while this project is underway. But importantly as well, the Bruce Highway not only is a place where people go to and from work, visit family and friends, it's also an important freight route for the economy of Queensland. It is the artery that drives the Queensland economy, which is why this is such an important economic project as well. I'm very proud that we're doing this, and I was disappointed that Angus Taylor yesterday refused to back the funding for this project. And yet again, we see a coalition dedicated to saying no at the first instance, just as they have on every single cost of living measure that we have put forward, just as they have on areas like the Medicare Urgent Care Clinic that I visited here in Rockhampton yesterday, just one of the 87 that we have up and running. The only policy that they have put forward is, of course, their so-called nuclear plan, but the local senator here, Matt Canavan, belled the cat when he said that it was just a political fix, that nuclear didn't really add up, it wasn't the most cheapest form of energy that could be used, and it was just part of a fix to get the coalition through an election campaign. Well, it's a fix that will cost the Australian economy because their own figures showed that there'll be 40% less energy used under the figures that they've used, which means 40% less economic activity, a potential cost to the national economy of $4 trillion. They want less activity, a smaller economy, less things made here in Queensland and throughout Australia. Well, that's not my government's approach. My government's approach in the next election will be about making sure that Australians get the cost of living support that they need while building Australia's future. Peter Dutton only has a plan of saying no, a smaller economy with less activity and Australians paying more. his nuclear plant would cost. Economists estimate some $1,200 more for each and every Australian.